Okay, well, welcome back to a family business podcast. This episode topic is going to come to you compliments of Kelly Dietz at the Buy Sell Build QC Real.
Shout out Kelly. Kelly's got a topic for us here.
It's a tough one, you guys.
All right.
I hope we can do it justice.
All right.
Do you want to know what it is?
Let's hear it.
How do you avoid burnout in real estate?
Oh.
Thanks, Kelly. We really appreciate this topic.
It's a tough one.
BT, do you feel burnt out at all in real estate?
Yeah. I mean, you have your days. I think everyone has their days. But I think there's multiple different ways. And I think it all starts with yourself, right? I mean, everyone's in a different situation. So different things are going to work for different people. It's really hard to, especially right when you're getting into the business, to understand a little bit of work-life balance. I've learned that that's really, no matter what industry or whatever you do for work, that's not really possible. But
in the beginning.
Right, exactly. And so you have to just trial and error and see what things you can go and escape and just be able to recharge. Some people go on vacation. Some people work out. Some people charge up when they're around people. So it's just different things that work for different people.
Yeah, I would agree. You should have a hobby. That's number one. But I think one of the biggest things is probably exercise. That it gives you the energy. Like I really think a lot of people get confused that they really think that if they exercise, that's going to make them tired, and it's the exact opposite, that it actually gives you a dopamine release, which then gives you energy and also makes you more positive too. So that's very important. But like I mentioned, hobbies are important too. And also you want to try to balance that with your home life, whether you have a wife, whether you have a husband, whether you have kids, whether you don't have kids, whether you have dogs. It's important that you try to really balance that. What I mean is that you want to make sure that you're giving all aspects of your life the proper attention.
Well, and I think I'm going to take that even deeper than that. I mean, so I agree with everything that the two of you just said. And I also think that it's super important when it comes to things like exercise or things that truly are like important to you, right? Like you want to make sure you make time for that in your day. I think it's really important, and we weren't good at this in the beginning. It's something we've definitely gotten better at, and it's definitely made things better for us and our business, is literally putting them on your calendar like they like it's same thing as it's a listing appointment. You would not cancel on that unless you're on your deathbed, and you wouldn't show up late or not put the effort into it unless you're, on your deathbed. Or, some, a family member, what I'm saying. I think you need to do the same thing when it comes to exercise or things that are important to you with your family life. Like there's an agent in our office that has determined that bedtime for her kids who are young is a non-negotiable. And now she's always, there for that, and it's blocked on her calendar. She doesn't take calls during, and, we think that's late, but when you have young kids, that's kind of early, and especially in the summer months in real estate. So I think that that's important, is that you definitely need to block those in, and they need to be on your calendar, and they're not negotiables for you.
That's a great point. Like you always say that if it's not followed, boss,
which is where our calendar is.
Yep. Which goes to the same deal as your calendar, that if it's not in your calendar, then it does not exist. A lot of you know that I listen to Ed Milet a lot, but he always says, if you show me your calendar, I will show you your life, which is very true. If you're like me and you don't always put everything in your calendar, he would have a hard time doing that. But I'm getting a lot better at it. But it is very important though. Like when you have a golf league, or you have a date with your wife, or you have a vacation, that those things should go into your calendar first, and then run your business around the important things in your life.
Well, I think that goes back to also setting, like, our coach just said this to us the other day, and it's so true. Like, it's also sitting down and understanding, like, okay, what are my goals for this year? What are my goals 3 years from now? What's important to me? And not just in regards to throwing up, the sales numbers and closing the transactions. What is it that that I want more of, right? And if you have a very clear understanding of what that is, then you're not necessarily always chasing the goals, right? Like I think, and especially in our business, I think it's very easy to get wrapped up in the, oh, I want to sell more than this person, or, oh my gosh, I've sold 15. Well, I want to get to 20. Right. And we see the shiny, numbers and, or people posting things on social media about all their great things. And we feel like we have to chase after those same things, but why? I mean, unless that's what you've sat down and decided, hey, my goal for this year is to sell X amount, X amount. Okay, then these are the things I need to do. But really, I think most of us, and again, PT, it's really also depends on where you're at in your career. But I think that you'll have more success and longevity in your career if you start some of these simple habits early on. Because for us, and our coach said this to us, is like, is what you want more sales, or is what you want more time to do the things that are important to your life? I'm going to be 50, Brad's 47. For us, yes, our real estate business and our clients are very important to us and we care about that. But we also are very passionate about some of the things in our community that we want to give more of our time to. And, time we've sacrificed with friends and family while building the business that we now are lucky enough to enjoy. That's what we have to figure out how to do. And, it's that saying, you live and die with your systems and your processes, right? And you have to really have those perfected to allow you to do the other things that are important. So it's not always, what was the other thing? We were talking on one of our first coaching calls. Brad and I recently hired a coach, by the way. We've went how many years without having an official coach?
Well, May 25.
Yeah, which is crazy. I mean, we've done other things, but not an official coach. And it's crazy because it's not about, our coach is not about like more sales. It's really like, how to, just what I just said, kind of defining what we want in our life as a whole. And the real estate business is just the big, big part of that. Right. But he said, to you, because we were talking about how Brad doesn't put things in his calendar, and then, it gets stressed out and, and it causes a lot of conflicts. And he goes, Brad, are you the chaos creator in your life?
Yeah, that's true. If you don't use your contact management and you don't use your calendar, your life is chaos. And why would you want to do that? Well, I mean, for some of us, we learn out of the school of hard knocks, but we're getting there.
Exactly. And one of the biggest things for me recently it's very hard, just in the day and age that we're in. You see everybody, you see everything, you see everybody's success, right? I mean, that's really, unfortunately, what these algorithms are pushing out on a whole different level. Success, the way you should live a life, the way you should act, the way you should be. And you have to find one, not only what you want, but understand that you're on a different path than other people, right? No path in any career you're going to take is similar to the person sitting next to you or came into the industry at the same time. So if you can come to grips with that, put your head down and just work and understand what you need to do to achieve what you want, then you're already going to be doing a whole lot better for your mental health at the end of the day.
Yeah. Well, because I think that the burnout happens. I mean, honestly, if I look back, and I'm even sitting here thinking about this right now, I think it's even I really, this year, I don't, people have their word of the year. I don't think I had a specific word of the year, but it was more so just like, balance and intentionality and, just those kind of things in forward thinking. And one of those was controlling my mornings, like, because I do feel like that's one of the things is like our first instinct as realtors is, we wake up in the morning, and we immediately roll over and look at that phone, what emails somebody sent in the middle of the night, text messages or leads that came in, and whatever. And for us, that's like 6:30, 6:45 in the morning. I mean, that's nonsense. Like, so then you feel obligated to respond to something or whatever. Whereas really that should be the time that you're really taking to reflect on the day before, reflect on what you want to do that day, and just take yourself time, whether that's the gym, whether that's prayer for some people, go for a walk outside. Going for a walk outside when the weather's nice is just huge. I mean, even a 20, 30-minute walk. And I was so good about that for the majority of this year. And then we had some travel that kind of got messed up. We've had just super busy last couple of weeks, and I still am pretty good, but I was thinking about this last night when we both said we woke up at like 5 a.m, tossing and turning just with all these things in our brain. And I was thinking at the gym, I'm like, okay, what is different? What is, I mean, I know we're busy, but why? And some of those routines that I was religiously following for the last 3-4 months, I've kind of gotten a little away from. And I've allowed, I call it hijacking my morning. Yeah. And I have allowed other things to hijack my morning. And the thing about that is I think I'm being more productive because I'm responding to clients quicker or to an agent quicker or to a family member quicker. But really, I'm doing myself a disservice and everybody else I'm going to encounter that day because I am not setting myself up for success for the day. And then I'm just more stressed out and tired throughout the day. So I think it's just kind of when you get in those situations where you're feeling that, to take that time to self-reflect. Okay, what am I not doing, or what am I doing that's different, that's making me feel the way I'm feeling, and adjust accordingly so that you can get back to being the best version of yourself. Because at the end of the day, that's how you best service your clients as well.
Right.
So,
right. And if you understand, it's all trial and error. So, you know, some things you're going to try and it just doesn't feel right. And, you know, you might find something that you really enjoy. But the biggest thing in the mornings, because I think that's so important, because at some point you are needed, right? So you have to find out when is the time that people are either reaching out to you or you feel that you need to start your day and then work backwards from there. So if I'm needed at 8:30, 9, then you have to understand, okay, what am I going to do to get to that point to be ready to fire on all cylinders for when I'm needed?
Yeah, that's a great point. And you do a lot of your best work in the morning too. Right. So that's one of the things. And that's why looking at your cell phone right when you wake up, that's basically playing Russian roulette with the rest of your day, which I heard that on another podcast, but it's very true. So then if you get a bad email that you read right when you wake up, that's going to set the tone for the rest of your day when you could be so productive right after you work out. That's one of the best times. And walking outside. I mean, that is scientifically proven that it opens up your brain, it allows you to think very freely. How many times have you went on a walk and you had some of the best ideas you've ever had? Yeah. That it's just being out in nature, just relaxed. And we walk our dogs, which relaxes me, unless they start sniffing at everything, but they're usually really good.
It's just Ivy Grace. The other thing is that I really, and I never took this to heart as much as I have probably in the last 3 to 6 months. I really, really gotten serious about the power of do not disturb on my phone and my watch. And one of those times is in the morning. And I used to think that I had to have my phone or my watch attached to me when I was especially getting ready, right, for the day. Cause you're kind of like, yeah, it's in that 7:30 to 8:30 range. So maybe I should pay attention to my phone. But no, that is still, again, I've just decided when I'm being true to myself and how I'm best able to serve everybody during the day is I'm on do not disturb during that time. And I'm listening to a podcast, I'm doing a prayer, I'm doing, some kind of meditation or something. And I get ready faster too. Yep. Because the problem is that here we are thinking we're, multitasking. Well, all you're doing is getting pulled in 50 different directions instead of just getting ready. On the days my phone's on do not disturb, I'm probably ready for my day a half hour sooner than I am when I allow it. The reason is
you're not getting pulled in all these different directions. And I really think another thing when it comes down to the business is the moment that you realize it's not a transactional business, and it's so easy when you get into the business right away, is you treat all the people like they're a transaction, and you want to get out of that mindset and you want to get into, I'm trying to help these people. They're my friends, right? And when you look at it like that, that makes you look forward to meeting them, to going out with them. It's no longer a business transaction. You're literally changing their life.
Well, this is probably crazy, and PT, maybe you're different than us, but people, a lot of times I hear people like throwing up stuff about how many they'll be on social media or I hear somebody chatting something, how many transactions they've done so far this year, or what their, sales numbers are for the year. We have a good idea, but I have no idea. I couldn't tell you how many transactions exactly we've closed this year because I just
nobody cares.
no, and I don't. But I think sometimes too that goes back to getting burnt out, right? Because if you're so preoccupied with that number and what it needs to be, you're not. How can you really enjoy the business? Because you're just it's like going through the drive-through line at Chick-fil-A. Next.
Well,
I mean,
well, and Brad used the key word there. You're helping somebody, right? You're helping somebody. If you get out of the mindset of a transaction where if something goes bad, you start to stress out, you're worried about losing the potential paycheck. But if you get into the mindset of I'm going to help this person, you become less stressed, you become probably more focused and able to assist in a better mindset. If you can get out of the transactional mindset, it's going to do so much more if you're just in a professional state.
Yeah. I just had a conversation with a client recently that she ended up getting the results of her whole house and inspection back, and she completely freaked out. I was like, I can't do this. It's just like this, that. And I said, okay, I'm just going to lay this all out on the line. And I'm going to preface this by flat out telling you, if you buy this house or you don't buy this house and or if you decide not to sell your house, I'm going to be able to eat. So Don't worry about me. Because she was all worried about how hard I've worked and like blah, blah, blah. I was like,
Doesn't matter.
I want you to do the best thing. So what we need to do here is we need to slow down. We need to get a contractor out to your house. I'll meet you over there with him. We will go item by item and we will look at everything that needs repaired. And there might be items on there that we think are just cosmetic things that don't need to be repaired. And then we'll get a number and then we'll make an educated decision then. So let's not jump to conclusions that you can't do it, that we don't know that yet. So that's when you get out of the transactional thing that, oh gosh, if she doesn't sell her house, then I'm not going to sell her the next house. Who cares? Like, you want to make sure that it's in their best interest at all times. And that goes back to, you want to treat them like they're your family.
Well, and that's burnout comes when it is transactional because you don't have there's not a fulfillment from it. So if you're not feeling fulfilled from helping your buyers and sellers, then one, I don't know, is it the career for you? I don't know. Maybe that's a reflection. Maybe there's something different you need. Or two, is it that you have the wrong kind of clients, right? Like, I mean, we, had a commitment a while ago, which we've held to pretty strong. We have an AFB, and I know we've talked about that before in other podcasts a little bit. We're not going to go into what the last is free business, and you can figure out what the A stands for. And we really truly mean that. And I think it's one of those things, like, not that as a realtor you want to get in the habit of firing clients, but if you are working with a client that does not appreciate what you do, does not respect you for your experience and the time that you're giving them, you don't need them.
You're worth more than that. You really are. And that will cause burnout too, is if you're working in adversarial relationships constantly. I mean, that's draining.
Yeah. And it takes your time away from people that want to work with you, that respect you, that you enjoy having conversations with, because it's a two-way street, right? Like, you respect them, they respect you, and they understand that they hired you for a reason. It's no different than, I'll use the example of, I had some health stuff happen a few years ago. And if you remember when I was hiring my doctor, originally we needed an oculofacial surgeon.
Yep.
And there was one in the Quad Cities that I was connected with, and then I needed a Mohs surgeon. And the very first time I met with this dude, like, I knew he was really good at what he did, but we didn't jive, right? And then the other person and him didn't jive, and it was like this anxiety. And every time I'd have a conversation, his staff was like discombobulated. And one day he finally said to me, he said, if you think you would feel better going to Iowa City, and I'd be happy to give you a referral there. And I'm like, you know what? I feel like that has to happen. And our immediate first meeting there was like night and day. And I just knew that, and that, even though that was a difficult time in my life, I fully trusted my doctor, and it was a two-way street conversation with her. And I think that's the same thing in this business, right? If you don't feel that way with your clients, then they're not the right clients.
Yeah, and there's so many, it really kind of goes back to it. Most people are good. And it's one of those that a lot of people they have one bad experience and they're like, oh, all my clients are such a pain. Are they? Or is it really just that one person that's kind of driving you crazy? Right. And it's one of those where you might be deep in the transaction and you just need to like get it done, but it's a learning experience that in the next clients that you are attracting, maybe you don't want to attract people quite like that personality, or you just don't need to deal with it. So just remember, there's always the next one.
Or were you creating chaos that then, even though your client wasn't necessarily the problem, you were creating the chaos in your life because you weren't planning things and blocking things out and taking the time you needed for yourself. So again, you weren't showing up to your client in the best version.
And I
would
say that's most realtors' biggest weakness is lack of organization when it comes to their schedule. And that's what causes a lot of the chaos.
Yep.
And the reason is they just take anything that comes at them and
they're chasing. Yeah.
They're just chasing, which comes to like what you had talked about, Andrea. When you get into the business and you're new, you do have to work incredibly long hours and you do have to work a lot. But as you get to be our age, you work a lot, but you're able to then hire other people that do things better than how you do them yourself. And that's when you know that you have completely made it, is that you realize your weaknesses. Like when I was your age, PT, I tried to do everything, and I knew there were a lot of things I wasn't very good at. Like when it comes to transaction management, when it comes to other things like that, I don't like doing them. Yeah. And I just wasn't very good at them. I had to do them, but I wasn't very good at them. Right. So then we realized once Andrea came along that she was really good at it, but then we also know that she's really good at relationships and really good at connecting with people. So we said, we need to hire somebody else that handles that on the backside, all the transaction management, a lot of the marketing, and Andrea needs to be out talking to people. And we realized that although she's good at it, that wasn't where her value was the best. It was out with people.
Well, and back to that same thing, when you're talking about burnout though, too, like it's in the beginning, to your point, you don't necessarily know. I mean, you kind of know yourself, but you don't necessarily know exactly what your strengths and weaknesses are in your business. And you also don't really know 100% what you like doing and don't like doing. So I do think that is, to your point, Brad, and it's probably PT, you're kind of in that phase right now. You've been doing it long enough and had enough transactions where you're starting to get a feel for, okay, I really like this, I don't like this. And just really trying to figure out in your systems and processes how you can alleviate doing some of those things you don't like to do. Like Brad said, whether it's outsourced or, part of your team, you figure out a partner with, because that will also help you. Because if you're doing things you like doing versus things you don't like doing on an everyday basis, you're going to feel better every day.
It will just give you more energy. It's that positive energy.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the great thing about what we do, right? You have the free reign to do whatever you want, essentially, right? So yeah, it takes time to get an understanding of what works well for you and what doesn't. But you have to be self-aware too. That's the biggest thing. You're not going to figure those things out or understand how your mornings are going to look or how you prepare to go to bed. There's so many things that go into it, but you have to be self-aware as well.
100%. And not to get into the religious thing too much, but I am a Christian and I really believe that it's important that you have a God that you worship, or a spirit, or whatever it is. But you have to have something that you focus your energy towards that calms you down. And mine is Jesus Christ, that I know that he's always there. And it would be very difficult in life, in my opinion, if you did not have something like that. So if it's not Christianity, maybe it's something else that if you want to meditate, whatever that would be, it's important that you do that so you calm yourself down.
Yeah. And I mean, at the end of the day, it really, I think, comes back the biggest takeaway, I think, for me, just in listening to you guys and in this conversation, and what I would say to dear old Kelly there is, it's funny because, we started this out by laughing about life-work balance and how, that's not really possible. I think I think the more I reflect on it, and I reflect on the last, 3-6, months, and especially, making the transition to real really changed things for us in regards to looking at our real estate business and all the different facets of it and how we can do more of what we want to do and things we never thought we could do in it. But I think it's taking it back to, you can have life work balance when you understand what is important to you. It doesn't mean that you're not maybe working 60 hours in a week, or you don't have some days, especially now that the weather's so nice in the summer and it's busy season time.
Days are getting longer.
Yeah, it's not that you don't have 12, 14, 15-hour days, but you still have blocked in your calendar the things that are important to you, and you fully commit to being, quoting Sharon here, being where your feet are when you're doing those things. Yeah. And I think if you do that, then I think you do get life work balance. It's not about the hours. It's just that you get to do the things that you need to do. The other thing is making sure that you're setting up your business, your systems and your processes in a way that when you want to step away, whether it's for an hour, a night, a weekend, that there's somebody else there to take care. Because again, this isn't a transactional business. These are people's lives that we care about. You need to make sure you're setting up your business, you're on a team, you're in an environment where you have people that you can rely on, and you trust your processes and your systems enough to rely on them to take care of your clients in your absence, so you can truly step away for a short amount of time.
Yeah. And the only way that you can do that, what you just said, is you have to have systems.
Well, and PT, I know you have a final thought there, but the one thing, and this really stood to me, and we said this to our team a couple of weeks ago, right after we got back from Charleston, there was a lady, I think her name was Marissa, at the conference that we were just at. And she said that one of the things that she makes her team do at the beginning of the year, every single one of them has to do, is they have to go on their calendar. And she says, you can't pick Christmas, you can't pick Thanksgiving, you can't pick a holiday. You have to pick a 7-day week that you block out in your calendar at the beginning of the year, that you are checking out and going on vacation and not doing real estate. And somebody knows at the beginning of the year that, hey, that week I am covering for that person. And I think it's 7 days. Yep. Come on, guys, 7 days. I agree with that.
Yep. No doubt. Yeah, I think it's super important, especially now in this day and age where the phone is just right in front of your face. I'm not a scientist. I'm not a specialist in this realm, but there are scientific studies. If you're on your phone or you're watching TV right before you fall asleep, your sleep's decreased, and the same when you wake up. So just being able to set aside, for my example, I have in a calendar all the way up till 9-10 o'clock that it's shut off, and that's when I do it. So
Brad's got a conference call, so I guess, does that mean this podcast is over?
That means that it's over, but hey, it was great being with you guys, and I learned a lot myself just listening to you guys as well.
Life work balance, guys.
Life work balance.
That's right.
Peace. Kelly, I hope we helped you.